So, I've just got back from the Five Nights at Freddy's movies. Literally just got back. Literally have just walked through the door and have clicked record. And I wanted to give my thoughts. Warning, this video is going to have, like, spoilers. It's not going to be a full critique. It's just my thoughts fresh out of my mouth. So yeah, if you don't want to watch spoilers, don't watch it. But I live in England, so we got the film 2 days early from America, which I'm quite happy about. I'm not sure why. But what do I think about it? I have very, very mixed opinions about this film. I went into it not thinking it was going to be too serious because I'm not stupid. So many people will have set themselves up for failure walking into that film because all of you thought it was going to be gory and really gritty, and you all posted them cringy ass TikToks being like, me watching and smiling in the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, watching the Springlock scene as all the kids scream. Like, are you dumb? Like, do you know the audience for Five Nights at Freddy's? Like, yes, the whole, like, lore for Five Nights at Freddy's is gory. If you didn't know, it's about 5 missing kids who possess animatronics, which is obviously not very child-friendly, but there is a huge younger audience, which is why the movie isn't R-rated. It's a 13 in America and it's a 15 here. So I knew it wasn't going to be, like, really gory or anything, which it isn't. There's a few scenes that are gory-ish, but not for the most part. It's not very gory at all. But the basic premise is Mike Schmidt gets a job at doing security. William employs him. He doesn't know that. Spoiler alert for you guys, Mike and William are not related in this film. I don't know why people thought they were going to be related when Mike is literally staring at William in the face as he's giving him the job. He's very clearly not his dad. So yeah, William and Mike are not related in this. It's not following the main lore from the games. Because so many people are going into this being like, finally, we're gonna understand the FNAF lore. Everything's gonna be solved. No. The Five Nights at Freddy's lore, as games stand right now, is so convoluted and, like, completely separate to what it was originally. And this film is focusing on the original kind of concept. It's sticking closer to its roots. It's not going into the books. It's not going into anything past, like, the 4th game. It's just sticking to a basic, simplistic version of the lore. So no, Mike and William are not related. Abby is not the, Abby from the games who goes on to possess Baby. There is a Baby reference though. I'll get onto that. But no, they're not related. Vanessa is not the same Vanessa from Security Breach. It is just a name reference. Yeah, it's not completely accurate. It doesn't solve any lore. Frankly, I don't think you can solve the Five Nights at Freddy's lore at this point because I think it's just been made up along the way. But that's just my humble opinion. Is it scary? No, I don't think it was scary. It had its moments, but I do not think it was scary at all. There's a lot of funny, goofy, like, camp moments with, like, the animatronics and Abby, because very early on, as soon as Abby shows up, the animatronics are all friendly towards her. They build a fort with Abby, Mike, and Vanessa. Bonnie falls over. I thought it was cute. Personally, I thought it was cute and campy, and I didn't think that the animatronics were going to be, like, brutalising Abby in the first place. Because why the fuck would they? But so many people are going to be sat in their seats being like, what the fuck? What's going on? But I went into this knowing it was going to be like a silly camp film. I knew it wasn't going to be serious, but so many people were like, oh my god, it's going to be so gory. We're going to see the Springlock scene. We're going to see kids getting fucking slaughtered. No, that was never going to happen though, was it? You all were like, why did you all think that? I don't understand the concept behind it. The character of Mike, I love Josh Hutcherson as, like, an actor. I love The Hunger Games. I love all that stuff. Did I think Mike was a very interesting character? No, I didn't think Mike was very interesting. Mike's whole thing in this film is he goes to sleep a lot because he believes that you remember absolutely everything in your life and it's just hidden in some part of your head. And in this, Mike's brother, I've forgotten what he's called. He's not called Evan. Got kidnapped as a kid and he was the last person who saw him. And he just keeps going back to that same dream to see if he can see anything different or if he recognises the person in the car. Spoiler alert, the person who nicked him was William, aka Purple Guy, aka Springtrap. So yeah, and when he gets to the pizzeria, all of a sudden in his dream, he sees the kids behind him who possess the animatronics. And they know that the Purple Guy killed his brother, apparently. I don't know how, but yeah, so his whole thing is, who killed my brother, and them not telling him. Abby, from the very start of the film, always draws pictures, and these pictures always have the same kids in, but the kids aren't real, so everyone just thinks she's like schizophrenic or something. But no, these are actually the kids that are possessing the animatronics, and for some reason she's known about them for years, even though I think it has to do with the fact that Mike's brother got kidnapped and killed by the same person who killed them. But either way, so when she goes to the pizzeria for the first time with Mike, they are immediately all really friendly. There's none of this like hiding the fact that they're moving from Mike. She just calls Mike in, like, oh my god, they're tickling me, and then they just are fine. They're just fine with him being there. I like the fact that Abby, the animatronics are friendly towards Abby, because I just think it makes sense. I see no reason why possessed animatronics that are possessed by children would intentionally try and brutalize a child. Unfortunately for you guys, because apparently that's what you want. And I didn't have a problem with it. I thought the scenes were really cute. However, I feel like it would have been better if the animatronics were more friendly towards the end of the film rather than really early on, like what we see. Because in my mind, Mike doesn't have a babysitter, and he is going with his sister to Freddy's, and he tells William this. He's like, I'll take the job, but will I be able to bring my sister? And he's like, yes, you can bring your sister. That's perfect, because I'm a killer. So he brings his sister, and everything's all right, and she's staying maybe in like a different, I'm not sure how you'd work this out plot-wise, but maybe she's in a different room that he just locks on an evening, and he's doing the security, and he thinks it's all really creepy and stuff, but he's like determined to find out what happened in this place. And then towards the end, Abby starts to kind of like sneak around without her brother knowing, and this is what leads the animatronics to start chasing her. And then she's like, oh my god, what's going on? And then she realizes, oh my god, they're not actually trying to kill me. They're trying to get me out. They're trying to be friendly. They're trying to be nice. But why? And then it's revealed they're trying to get her out because they know that William is going to try and kill her. My idea was the ending is kind of like they realize the animatronics aren't trying to kill Abby. They're just trying to help her. And in an attempt to defend Abby, William comes back, dismantles individually and breaks down the individual animatronics to try and get to Abby. Abby sneaks into this room to try and hide from William, and then William comes in. But who also comes in? The spirits of the animatronics come in, and he's freaking out, and he's like, I'm gonna go hide in the suit that I have. And he hides in the suit, and then Springlock scene. Instead of having them drag him off as animatronics, just have the spirits of the kids be dismantled in the animatronics by William and then come back. And yeah, that's how you could have done that instead of having them not be dismantled, because that was a huge element from the games that they just kind of completely got rid of for some reason. But overall, I felt like they should have more closely followed the lore and plot to the games and had it more structured instead of just having Vanessa there as purely just an exposition tool to explain what happened to the audience and to Mike, instead of having Mike find out through newspaper clippings, maybe dream sequences, because they have the dream sequences. I just don't think they should have been focused around the whole thing of Mike wanting to know who killed his brother. That shouldn't have been a thing. It should have just been him having dreams, and they're actually just flashbacks to what happened in Freddy's, so we could see it and we could see the horror element. The only real kills that the animatronics do are, I think, about 4 people who break into Freddy's, because basically Abby's aunt is trying to get custody of Abby, and she's basically in a custody battle with Mike, who doesn't want to give her up, and Abby doesn't want to go. And she's trying to frame Mike by saying, look, he got the Freddy's place broken into, so he's not a reliable person, so I think I should take Abby. So she pays these people, one of which is the babysitter who babysits Abby, and she pays them to break into Freddy's to just wreck it so he gets, like, charged with liability. So they all go in, and you've seen it in the trailers. They all get attacked and killed by all the animatronics. One of them gets fucking cut in half. The babysitter, Max, who babysits Abby, like, goes and looks in Freddy's mouth, gets snatched up by, like, a child spirit and just chomped in half. Like, it's a bit bloody. Like, it's the most shocking scene in the film, like, gore-wise and scare-wise. But this leads me on to a thing that I really didn't like. I hated the fact that the cupcake was, like, an actual threat in this. Because the cupcake's never been a threat in any of the games, especially not the first one. The cupcake is, like, in the office in the first one, so I just didn't see why that needed to be a thing. I thought it just took away from, like, the fear factor. Onto that, it wasn't scary. The whole, like, thing that made Five Nights at Freddy's scary, in my opinion, was the atmosphere, the lack of movement that you saw from the animatronics, how you would just see them on the cameras just stood and, like, staring black-eyed, white-eyed into, like, the camera lenses. We didn't get any of that. I thought we'd get at least one scene of, like, Bonnie just looking dead into, like, the camera. No, we didn't get any of that. To be quite honest, it wasn't very, like, night shift orientated. He was just there at night. I personally just didn't get that whole thing. In no point in this film did I hear the jump scare noise. You know, the classic... I did not hear it at any point in this film, and I don't know why, because I knew this film was going to be mainly jump scary, but you just didn't hear the jump scare noise, which I thought was very odd. Even the opening scene where the security guard gets killed, you don't hear the jump scare at all, and I was just like, where is it? I thought the atmosphere just wasn't brilliant. There wasn't a lot of sound bites from the first original game. You know, the kind of like, ooh, kind of like sounds. There wasn't a lot of just still images on, like, the security cameras of characters, like, the animatronics just being stood there, which is what made them scary, of how, like, weird it was. You know what I mean? None of that. Maybe a few bits, but that was it. Which was a massive fucking shame, because seeing them move around too much just didn't make them very scary. And the way that the movie was built up, they built up like it was going to be really scary, which I didn't think it would be anyway, but it just wasn't, which I thought was a really big shame. But so many people, I've already said this, but so many people have just set themselves up for disappointment with this film. So many people base what the games were like based off the VHS tapes, and on TikTok specifically, so many people on about the Springlock scene, which I'm about to talk about, talking about, like, oh, it better be gory, he better be screaming. The original Springlock scene in the game, in the third game, William does not make a sound. He just kind of shakes, drops, and that's it. It was never gory. The reason you guys think that it was going to be this intense, like, him screaming, was because of the VHS tapes. Like, this idea that you guys have in your head is warped by the VHS tapes. They're great. I love them. It's what the game should have been. But it's not canon. That's not a thing. So that's your own fault. I knew this film was going to be silly, campy fun. There's a specific scene, which I've already spoke about a little bit, and it's where Abby's like, they want to build a fort. And I'm like, are we going to get a fucking scene of the animatronics building a fort? And we do. And we fucking do. Did I like it? Yes. I loved Bonnie. Bonnie was adorable. I loved that scene. I loved it. I don't care. I don't care if that sounds silly. I loved that scene. It was just cutesy, goofy, camp fun. And all you little hardcore weirdos are going to be there like, yeah, she's supposed to die. They're supposed to be brutalising. No, they do not. That's one thing that I don't think gets explained very well, though. So Vanessa explains, and I'm going to talk a bit more about Vanessa, that the animatronics don't really want to hurt Abby. They just don't remember what happened to them, and the guy who killed them, William, kind of has like warped their mind so he can kind of semi-control them, which, how? Like, they know that he killed them because the kid actively like, oh wait, actually, no, it still doesn't make sense because the kid who's supposed to be Golden Freddy draws Mike the rabbit in his dream when he's like, oh, tell me who did this. So they know that he's killed them, yet they listen to him. And I thought for a second then, well, maybe it's because he doesn't have his mask on. He doesn't have a Springtrap mask on. Yeah, he does. They know it's him, but for some reason they listen to him, which I just didn't understand in the slightest. So I thought that was really stupid. But Vanessa, I thought Vanessa was just going to be a police officer and that was it. No. In this, the canon in this film is that Vanessa is William Afton's daughter. I don't know why. I don't know why they went that route. Because, like, the entire film, she's being really weird and alluring to the fact that she knows more than she's letting on. And she does. She knows that William killed kids and shoved them in the suits. So, what? Why did she need to be related to him? I just didn't get that. I really didn't understand that. And she's like, oh, I want to help you, but I can't because you're scared of him. You're a police officer, babe. If they're in the suits, just go in, look in the suits, get him arrested. Why did we need her? She's just there. She's just kind of there. She's just there to explain what happened to the audience and to Mike. And it shouldn't have been done like that. I'm sorry I keep itching my nose. It's really itchy for some reason. But yeah, she was just completely... She shouldn't have been in the film, in my opinion. She didn't add anything to the plot. A lot of people are like, Vanessa from Security Breach. No, it's not Vanessa from fucking Security Breach. It's just a name reference. It's just, oh yeah, we know about that, so we're gonna have it in the film. That is all she's there for. She's just there to explain what happened without showing you it. And that was it. And the whole like, oh, he was my dad. Yeah, boring. Didn't need it. There were a lot of references for fans. There was, well, I say a lot. These are the things I could remember off the top of my head. Cameo-wise, yeah, there is an entire, there's an entire staff board in Freddy's that has loads of YouTubers on it, which you don't really see that much in the film. Like, you don't get a close-up of it, but you know they're there. Matt Pat shows up. Obviously, you guys have been so fucking dumb being like, I can't believe they disrespected Matt Pat like that and not giving him a role. Obviously, he had a fucking role, and he's like serving Mike's aunt and these other people and the babysitter for Abby in the diner, and he's like, that's just a theory, and I'm like, that was me the entire time. There is a reference to Sparky, which if you didn't know, in the first game, there was a screenshot going around being like, oh, there's a hidden animatronic and it's a dog. There wasn't, it was just a hoax. But yeah, there's a Sparky the dog animatronic in like the parts and service room, which I thought was like fucking sick. I absolutely loved that. Balloon Boy, a little Balloon Boy action figure pops up every now and then and jump scares Mike quite a few times, which I thought was a really cute little reference. Loved that. There's a reference to the baby animatronic. No, Abby is not Baby from the games, but there is a reference to Baby because the animatronic, spoiler alert, tries stuffing Abby into a Springlock suit, and that Springlock suit happens to resemble Baby. Quite, well, it's not great resemble, but you can tell what it's supposed to be, you know, like, that suit was never mentioned in the games. It's clearly supposed to just be a reference to the animatronic of Baby because that's not going to be a thing in the films. But off the top of my head, that was the only kind of like references we got. The end credits scene song was the first Five Nights at Freddy's Living Tombstone song, which I thought was great, and I was so happy when I heard that playing. It was great. Corey Kenshin shows up, obviously, but we saw him in the trailer, so that wasn't a big shock. But he kind of gets an end credit scene where he's just asleep in his taxi. He wakes up and the Balloon Boy toy's just there, and we get a nice shot of Corey screaming, which if you're a Corey Kenshin fan like me, you appreciate greatly because it's funny. The ending is basically Mike has another dream, but this time it's not the same, and his brother is still there, and the kids, like the ghosts of the kids, are behind him, and it's all led by Golden Freddy. And he's like, oh, you can have this every night. You can come back here every single night but you've got to give us something. And he's like, what? And he's like, we want Abby. And originally, Mike's like, okay, because he's like, oh my God, my brother. And then he's like looking at his brother and he's like, no, Abby's my sister. And he's like, wait, no. But it's too late. Golden Freddy has already pulled up outside at Mike's house where his aunt is looking after Abby. Kills his aunt and then takes Abby. They order a taxi, and the taxi driver is Corey Kenshin. And I thought they were going to kill Corey when he looked at Golden Freddy, but he's just kind of like, what the fuck? Anyway, where do you want to go? And then just drives him there. I just thought that was really funny. It was funny. Sorry guys, sorry I have a sense of humour. Sorry I like silly goofy things. I thought William at the end was pretty cool because he's just fully just kicking and fucking battering Mike. He stabs Vanessa, which I didn't expect and I was quite shocked by because the rest of the film we just didn't really have any of that. But yeah, it wasn't a huge scary film if I'm being completely honest, which I'm not entirely shocked about, but it could have been a bit better than what it was, you know what I mean? In my opinion, I'm grateful for this film, but at the same time, I felt like it could have been done so much better, and I feel like the PG, like, 13, 15 rating has really limited it. It is kind of semi being set up for a sequel because, yes, there is a springlock scene, and you know what? It's more than I was expecting. You actively see the kind of, like, ribs of the animatronic going into William. You get a nice close-up of it happening. But it happens because the cupcake bites him. They do mention one time, oh, it's been raining, but that's it. And then they kind of just drag him off and leave him in a room after the pizzeria just randomly starts falling down. So he's not dead at the end. Like, you can see him like, you know. So there's room for a sequel. A sequel, which should be a prequel and it should be about the second game, would really benefit if they followed the story a little bit more closely. I don't know, it's kind of all over the place really, in my opinion, but so many people are going to be disappointed by this film. A lot of that is due to the fact that they bigged it up to be the fucking scariest thing in the fucking world when it never was going to be. I was going into this thinking it was going to be silly, campy fun and maybe a little bit spooky, and it was. However, there was just things I wasn't a huge fan of. But yeah, that was my thoughts on the film as a fan who has been a fan since 2014. I liked it. I'll probably see it again. I'll definitely get it on Blu-ray. I've got 2 of the posters from the film I'm going to put on my wall because they still look fucking cool. I hope the film gets a sequel and then a sequel after that, because I feel like this is all just stuff that can be improved upon. You can improve upon it so much. This is not me being like, I don't want another one, they fucked it up. They can improve it. They can fix the things. And the things that they can't change, they don't need to change. The sequel can just be the sequel. It can just be like how Five Nights at Freddy's' sequel was just a prequel, but it was a sequel. Do it like that. And then you can go back to Mike and all them lot in the 3rd game when he comes back as security guard at Fazbear Fry and he's like, I need to stop William because he killed my brother. Yeah, you can do all that. But the things that I have said that you can change, there's still time, guys, because this film is probably definitely going to get a sequel because it's already made all of its money back. And it will make so much fucking more. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it. Contemplate subscribing, I don't fucking know, do what you want. But they were my thoughts on the Five Nights at Freddy's movies. Thank you for watching this really shitty video that I did not plan on doing. Yay. I don't fucking know.